There's a whole lot of that too in a dating scene. Is like you go out with somebody on a couple of dates, and they're like, "No, you know what? No, what? I'm just gonna practice self love for a while."
I think self-love often can turn into narcissism
Mhm.
and, just working on yourself all the time. I don't think that teaches you how to be a loving person. So I think if you had to love yourself first, I don't think anybody would be in a relationship. I think you can learn to love yourself by being in a relationship.
I learned a lot about myself, certainly from being in a relationship, because a lot of the things are reflected back at me that I'm not going to notice when I'm just home by myself with my dog.
Exactly. I think we learn to be loving by being in relationship.
I do
So,
too.
yeah. And I think people who sit alone and try to learn to love themselves often are just increasing their own narcissism and their own judgmentalness that nobody's good enough for me. I love myself and nobody's good enough for me. Not true of everybody. I could see those qualities in myself when I was single. So
Mhm.
that's one reason I decided I'm going to work on myself by being with other people in relationship. And I think being in this marriage, this very loving marriage, has made me love myself more than I ever have.
That's awesome.
So I didn't want to sit around and wait to start love. If I was going to wait to love myself to get in a relationship, I would be 102. If that.
Me too, because like and I know just from meditating and practicing mindfulness that like 90% of my thoughts are still negative self talk. So if
Right?
I'm gonna wait for that 90% of my thinking to go away, I'm gonna be waiting multiple lifetimes.
Exactly. And be lonely in the meantime. So I think when we see ourselves doing loving things towards other people, that increases our self-love. You say hello to a stranger, you feel better about yourself. You, you know, uh, take some cookies over to your neighbor, or spend the time having tea with someone who's maybe not the most beautiful person in the world. You would have swiped left on them on the dating app, but instead you
Mhm.
decided to meet them for tea and you find out they're a really fascinating person. This increases your sense of self-love because you're being a loving person. You're not being all haughty and high and mighty and swiping left because nobody's good enough for you. Nobody in Los Angeles is good enough for me. I have to make fun of myself how I used to be because this is just so silly that you can't find anyone in Los Angeles, but I'm not the only one.